Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to once again the night stream, where it's always night up here. And boy, oh boy, has Starfield run its course? Well, that's what's in the news today. People are saying mostly negative things on Steam about it. To be honest, I played maybe 6-7 hours of the game. I'm like, nope, I know where this is going. I'm out. I dipped out after 6 hours. Now listen, I'm going to preface this video with, hey, if you like the game and you enjoy it and you love it, I'm happy for you. The game just isn't for me, and apparently a lot of people. So we're going to check out this article by PC Gamer. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. Now let's get into the news. Starfield enters 2024 with mostly negative recent reviews on Steam. Something's Gotta Give by Harvey Randall. What are they saying? Starfield isn't having the happiest of New Year's. Bethesda's landmark RPG, one designed to be played for a long time, has mostly negative reviews, recent Steam reviews at the time of writing, with only 29% of reviews scored positive in the last 30 days. Ouch. Its overall rating is still mixed, with 64% positive reviews. Now, we're going to get into the reviews after we go over some key things here from the article. There's a few things to keep in mind before we continue. First off, Steam reviews come from the community, and while they're helpful, they're also more a sign of sentiment over quality. They bring up a very good point, and I agree with this. Secondly, they're binary. Either approve of a game or disapprove of it, meaning middling games suffer in long term. Mostly negative is far more dramatic than 75%, which is the score we gave it in our Starfield review. Converting thumbs down to thumbs up is so important that a recent industry trend has emerged, with developers trying to flip reviews via direct responses. Starfield is no exception, even catching flack due to how copy-pasted its developer responses were. To be fair, I mean, you know how people complain on the internet? You're going to respond to all of them with different unique responses? Hundreds and thousands, probably. I'm sure they're doing the best they can. You know, I'll give them some credit for that. Still, this is Bethesda. We're talking about Fallout 76 had similarly rough entry that could be brushed off as an experiment. This is a mainline Bethesda RPG. Games like Skyrim and Fallout 3 left a significant mark on the gaming landscape. In contrast, Starfield just hasn't captured the public's imagination the same way. Why is that? I'll tell you my experience. After the 6 hours, it started to get repetitive, and the traveling was completely useless, because you could just fast travel and auto dock, and that just seemed like the traveling was really just that pulled me out of the game, and the missions didn't have any meaning for me. I didn't feel very involved. And I thought the story was just okay. And again, redundant. 6-7 hours in the game, I was like, I'm tapping out. But check it out. If you ask the community back November, when the game's overall reviews dipped to mixed, there's an essential magic that's missing. Some players think freedom of choice has been hamstrung by a deluge of unkillable NPCs and goody two-shoe companions. The studio's typically great exploration is also MIA, replaced with loading screens and barren worlds. That, too. When the game failed to land more than one nomination at the Game Awards, even its core fan base wasn't surprised. While writing about the game's biggest flaws last month, my fellow staff writer, Christopher Livingston, who also wrote the review, said that in games like Skyrim, any quest is bound to run you into some sort of interesting encounter along the way. Maybe simple combat, but it could be meeting an NPC, finding an inhabited cave, stumbling on a weird shack, or blundering into a new quest. Meanwhile, Starfield has you running from one random box to another. Not miserable, but it's never memorable. Very true. I mean, I'm coming from somebody who plays Elite Dangerous, which I'll tell you, Elite Dangerous, as much as I love that game, super boring to watch. And I play Star Citizen, which is fantastic and will never come out because they don't know what they're doing over there. But I digress. So me jumping into Starfield, I was kind of excited, and it left me kind of sorry. The lack of emergent interest means its story elements, which have always been touched in Bethesda games, are even more noticeably dry. My opinions on Basco back in the September track. The rest of the experience, Starfield isn't interested in really saying anything. Its themes are surface level, and it's sort of just gestures vaguely at works science fiction without actually really discussing them. As far as world building goes, there's this feeling that all the interesting stuff has already happened. The way its story is presented also suffers. The uncanny Bethesda zoom in is outdated, especially when Baldur's Gate 3 is emotive, motion captured performances for its companions. That's not to say you need fancy graphics to capture people's imagination. CRPGs have done plenty with text boxes for years. But those games put evocative fantasy fiction there. I have a solid idea of how Durant's from Pillars of Eternity, not familiar with that, sorry, moves, talks, and even smells without any high-budget bells and whistles. Ultimately, Bethesda has some really important lessons to learn from Starfield. The studio's planning a whole cargo hold full of New Year's resolutions, a 6-week update cadence with all new ways of traveling. Interesting. That'll be interesting. City maps. But I'm not sure I'll put the game out of its... But I'm not sure it'll put the game out of this fire. Wonder if Starfield really is a diamond covered in grime that just needs to be scratched off, or if core design philosophies Bethesda stood by, like that infamous "keep it simple, stupid" adage from a few years back, need to be scrapped entirely. Blizzard's turned a corner on World of Warcraft by letting go of old stubbornness, and I think the same applies here. Let's take a look at the reviews. That's what I want to see. As you can see here, we have mostly negative. 7,289. All reviews, 89,403 at mixed. What are they saying? Well, let's scroll down here. No way this won most innovative gameplay. This person has 29.2 hours into the game, so pretty substantial time put in. Another one, most innovative gameplay has to be ironic, right? 56.9 hours on record on the game. These people are playing this game, you know? This guy has 135 hours on it, does not recommend it, and he's got a pretty in-depth, you can probably make a whole video based off of this guy's opinion. We don't have time for that. But let's look at this one. Starfield is a game that has an excess of nothingness. An open world RPG that is so overstuffed with meaningless content that seems are starting to split and the empty calories are spilling out. Oof. Starfield is big, both physically requiring 125 gigabytes to install, but also in activities, planets, cities, missions, NPCs, combat, research, space travel, space combat, blah, 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 etc. Side stories, fractions, cooking, and I'm kind of just skipping over this real quick. You guys get the picture. And all of the beautiful, grand, silent, serene, action-packed, and ultimately unfulfilling. Tremendous lack of focus makes each individual part of the game hollow. Modern glittering era of entertainment, Starfield is another speck of shine, so concerned with bland mass appeal that it makes any individual gameplay mechanics as empty as the space we're flying through. Ooh. Be fair, let's look at, and how many hours does this guy have? 41.8 hours. That one's too long. Let's find one that's reasonable length. That's positive. In my 30 hours so far, aside from space mining, outposts, and shipbuilding, which I've hardly looked at yet, I've explored plenty of spaceship and space station interiors, can board ships during the space combat, and fight the crew to take over the ship. I've gone on corporate espionage quests with moral hijinks. I spent an evening traveling between outposts, one planet with mountainous grasslands rising above forested valleys and containing a giant egg-shaped trees and massive insect species fighting each other. Still found surprises here and there. The cities are divided into wealthy working class and poor areas with their own lore and character backstories, and I've only begun to dig into them. Feels like I've just scratched the surface. There's a lot more to see and do. Also, to hear, music is good, sort of like the more ambient tracks in Skyrim. Let's see here. Now that I'm farther in and have sorted out the settings, I'm not really having optimization problems so much as I've gotten further into it and pulled into the lengthy side quests. I can say that this is easily becoming one of my favorite outings from Bethesda. So, hey, what do you say? Are you playing Starfield still? Are you on the board? Are you on the bandwagon of the negative reviews? Is it hollow, empty shell, repetitive, no substance? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I appreciate you guys. That's some news. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.